the one and only DNVR. 2 goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. 3 for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number 4 we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio B here at the DNVR bar. And the B stands for back, as in the Broncos are back.
They're back, baby.
Oh, what a day in Broncos country. A day that, honestly, Zach, we will remember forever.
Yep.
And Russell Wilson could not have delivered any better than he did today. I mean, one after another with just hype quotes and great quotes and exciting quotes and meaningful quotes and touching quotes. He was on a heater of all heaters. And like I said, it's an incredible day in Broncos country.
It is. And wow, Ryan, come on, Russell Wilson. Holy shit.
In the words of Nathaniel Hackett.
That was Nathaniel Hackett when he found out the Broncos were getting Russell Wilson. And I got to tell you, today the emotions were so raw. Yeah. Russell Wilson is so pumped to be a Denver Bronco. Nathaniel Hackett truly is giddy to have him as his quarterback. And during his opening press conference, he knew how important this was to get Russell Wilson. He's saying, this is so important to me. This is so important to my coaching staff. Almost as if he had been thinking about, what am I going to do if I don't get him? And then George Paton made the deal happen, a deal that's been in the works for over a month. And then the Broncos officially got Russell Wilson today. 3 minutes later, he walks out for his press conference.
Unbelievable. And the energy from Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, I mentioned this on our emergency podcast. I'm like, these two are going to be perfect together. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Russell is a very positive, very energetic guy. And next to Nathaniel Hackett, he seems calm and cool and collected. But, man, we can go through some of our favorite parts here. But I just have to start by saying what I've said a few times now, and I believe more than anything. Russell Wilson is the perfect Denver Bronco. He is exactly what this town, what this team, what this city, what this community loves in their quarterbacks. And you couldn't have handpicked a better guy from a personality standpoint, from a person standpoint, to come here and lead this franchise. And today, that became so clear.
I mean, there's a new power couple in Denver, not just in the Denver Broncos, but in Colorado. Ryan, yesterday, Russell Wilson and Sierra, his wife, went to the Colorado Children's Hospital and spent their entire day there getting to know the community. And that's something he does every single Tuesday. So when we talk about he is more than the Broncos, that shows you that. Then today he's introduced, his whole family's there. And Ryan, he is going to absolutely win everyone over. And I know he already has, but he's going to do it on the football field. He's going to do it in the locker room, and he's going to do it with his quotes too. And today certainly was that.
Yeah. So does that knock me and Allie down to number 2?
I think so, yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. All right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. We're willing to share the title, or at least pass on the title to Russ and
that's
Sierra.
Nice of
you. Speaking of Sierra, my guy, Nathaniel Hackett. Gotta get bonked. You gotta get bonked for that one.
And what you're saying is Nathaniel Hackett said he was more excited to meet Sierra than he was to meet Russell.
And then he doubled down on it. I feel like he was trying to find the words to say I'm a big fan of her music or anything like that, and he just didn't find it.
Because we know he's a big fan of music.
Right, he's a big fan of, Justin Timberlake. So, Justin Timberlake and Sierra, not far from each other.
Yep.
I needed him to deliver that, and he just kept saying, so excited almost too excited.
Because those were the raw emotions that he had.
I know,
and you know
I
what?
know.
When you're giddy and you're excited, you're a little nervous, the right words don't always come out. And that just shows you the true emotions that were in that building today. There were a couple of players there. You had Justin Simmons, you had Baron Browning, you had KJ Hamler, you had Tim Patrick in the building. And after, those guys were also just so excited to be around Russ.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my favorite quote from Russ came from a question that you asked, Zach, which was great because it's something we've talked about. And during the press conference, I wasn't thinking about it. And clearly no one else was. And so you asked the question, what do you want your legacy to be? How long do you want to play here? And I think he overestimated a little bit. But he said 10 to 12 years. That's where I think he overestimated.
Okay.
And then he said 3 to 4 more Super Bowls. That I can get on board with.
Let's go.
I joked with Andre on the Bet Show. I said that's the only place where he slipped up because he's admitting that he can't win a Super Bowl every year, which doesn't seem very Russell Wilson.
Well, then can't that say that his expectations of playing 10 or 12 years were realistic if his Super Bowl count was realistic as well?
I mean, 10 to 12 years would bring him to what, 45?
43 to 45.
Well, we know there's going to be one 45-year-old on the field this year.
Did he undersell himself? Because maybe if Tom plays the way he did last year, he could play till 46.
It's true. I don't know. A lot of people in here talking about saying he's corny. I didn't actually get the corniness from him today. I thought he was really genuine.
I think before today, I would have said that there were corny vibes for sure, but actually today, I didn't think so at all. I agree.
He definitely can be corny. I'm not trying to change my opinion on Russell Wilson's corniness, but legitimately. And then someone else said he's like a robot. I didn't get that at all today. He seemed very real, very authentic today. He even snapped back a little bit at the idea that he initiated this from the Seahawks.
Yes, he did.
And I love Lindsey Jones for asking that question because I went back and read their statements, and they had a huddle where they said, okay, let's make sure that all of our statements add up to make it seem like Russ is the bad guy.
Yep.
And Russ wasn't going to have it. He said, no, this was mutual, which I don't believe him. But
the Seattle Seahawks are just really insulting Russ on his way out. They just put a tweet out just less than half an hour ago that is to Russell Wilson. It says, thank you to one of the best Seahawks quarterbacks in franchise history.
No.
That's like when yes, I'm not kidding. Thank you to one of the best Seahawks quarterbacks in franchise history. That is like when John Elway retires from the Broncos and the Broncos say, thank you to one of the best quarterbacks in franchise history. Like, what?
I cannot believe that.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Oh, that deserves to be dragged. So I'll get to that in a second. That's like saying, yeah, you're right. Thank you to John Elway, one of the best Broncos quarterbacks. I mean, he's absolutely the best quarterback. Who are you putting up there? One of the Hasselbacks? I don't even remember which one played for them. Matt? Was it Matt?
Don't know. Hasselback. I know.
Yeah.
That was on the back of the jersey.
Hasselback. Seneca Wallace.
Yep.
Tavares Jackson.
Yep.
They did have. Oh my gosh. They did have a couple decent guys.
They did sign a guy named who did that? Matt Flynn. Remember, they paid him all the money before Russ got there, and then Russ took the job. Maybe they were thinking he could be up there.
Right. Wow. Matt Flynn. Right up there with Russell Wilson. Right? The disrespect. Unbelievable.
And you know what? The Broncos had no issue today doing the complete opposite. Not saying Russ has a big challenge ahead of him to become one of the all-time greats. Russ needs to come in here and earn his spot to be a Denver Bronco. No, the Broncos aren't stupid. They're trying to welcome in one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL right now and bring him into a situation and put him on a pedestal that he deserves to be, because you know what, Ryan, and the Seattle Seahawks don't know this yet, it sucks when you don't have a quarterback. Broncos don't have to worry about that for the next 10 to 12 years, baby. Ryan, we're going to be old by then.
We will, yeah, geez. I guess I'll be a little bit younger than Russell Wilson always, so
Yep.
I'll have that going for me. As long as he plays, I'll be able to say, well, at least I'm not as old as him.
Right. And 3 to 4 Super Bowls. I love that. And so after we had a little side scrum with Russ, and I asked him, what makes you believe you can play that long?
Ooh, taking us inside.
Oh, yes.
Inside scoop here. This
Yes.
is stuff that no one saw on camera.
Exactly. And he said, Well, it's the work ethic that I have. And I said, well, how'd you get that work ethic? How long's it been? And he said, when I was young, my dad would wake me up at 5 every single day and we go do batting practice. I'd be getting ground balls. I'd be throwing the ball.
Call those Zac hours. Where I'm from.
And then he was asked how long he sleeps. And he says, 4 hours, 5 if I'm lucky. So this guy, he breathes and lives football. And of course, he talked with Peyton Manning, and he has a very good relationship with Peyton Manning. And it is not crazy at all to say he is the closest thing to Peyton Manning that the Broncos have had. And I mean, it's not even close. The building is different when this guy's around. And it's because he puts the work in. He expects the most out of himself, and then he expects that out of everyone else.
And you mentioned Peyton Manning, and I got a lot of Peyton Manning vibes today. He's not going to be as funny as Peyton Manning. Few are. But from a...
Few, as in you? You include yourself in there?
It's like me.
Okay, this is a good show for you.
Yeah.
You are up there with the power couple of Russ and Sierra. You're up there with the funniest of Peyton Manning.
It's like me, Chris Farley, Peyton Manning, just a couple people up there.
Yep.
Anyways, from a football standpoint, when he started talking about how he watched all 17 games and the preseason, he watched 20 Broncos games last year. As someone who also watched 20 Broncos games last year, sorry, Russ.
It was not fun.
Sorry you had to do that. But, I thought, okay, yeah, I mean, he's on the beach putting it on, whatever, watching. That's easy. Then he starts talking about the offense. And he starts talking about every player on the offense and mentioning a specific play that he watched on film, and then to go full Peyton or Sean McVay, he calls back to a Jerry Jeudy catch from 2 years ago.
Yep.
So he's like, it's Court diving into the end zone against the Cowboys, and Tim diving into the end zone against the Cowboys, and it's Court doing this. I think it was maybe the Jags catch that he had, the one-handed one. He's talking about Javonte Williams broken tackles. He's talking about Alberto. Then he's like then he says Jerry Jeudy's mossing the dude on the Jets. I'm like, he watched every play intently.
Yep, and he knows his offensive linemen's names. He's talking about Garrett Bowles and the comeback that he had. He knows everyone. This guy is a football junkie. And Ryan, you absolutely have to have that. That is a non-negotiable. He talked about just how mental. Everything about this game is so mental. And clearly he has that with flying colors.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's so exciting to have a leader like this back in the building. Zach, how many times did we talk about how embarrassing it is for the Broncos that they're still talking about filling the void of Peyton Manning's leadership?
Yep.
The only season that I don't think we heard it was last season. Now, it might have come up. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think Teddy Bridgewater was enough of a good leader to the point where he was really respected and people weren't thinking we need to replace Peyton Manning anymore. Right. And credit to Teddy for that. But there's two sides of leadership. One is being a great leader. The other is being a great football player. And obviously, they've been looking to fill that void more than anything since Peyton Manning left. And to see this guy walk in and just the way that he commands a room full of media and the way that he just conducts himself, there's no way you can't respect this guy.
No, and that's what he's already done inside the building, Ryan. He's already grabbed it, and that is one thing that Peyton Manning did. Right when he walked in, everyone says, okay, there's a guy in town. This means that all the BS has to stop.
And here's what else he knows. I mean, he's so good at knowing what to say in the right times. First time he brought up the receivers, by the way, both times he brought up the receivers, he brought up Tim Patrick's name before anyone else. Very notable in my opinion.
Well, smart that Tim Patrick was there too.
Yes. The first time he brought him up, he did not bring up Jerry Jeudy. He brought up KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and maybe Alberto in the first one. Can't remember. Then I think he realized instantly, I didn't bring up Jerry. The next time they go back around and he's asked about the wideouts, he goes deep on Jerry Jeudy. He'll be going deep to Jerry Jeudy later. But he went deep and basically said, I think this guy's a star, and really showed him the love there. And I think that was important because I think that Jerry's the type of guy, who would have been hurt by that he didn't get the mention. Yeah. Now, he wasn't there, and everyone else was, right? Am I correct?
I did not see Cortland there.
Okay, all right.
It doesn't mean he wasn't there, but when I looked before and after, he wasn't there.
I thought Cortland was there just because I saw Russ go, Tim and Cortland, and so I assumed he was pointing at him. But okay, all right, It's a better look for Jerry if Cortland wasn't there as well.
Something though for those guys, you want to be in town, and your off seasons will probably be in town with a guy like Russ here.
Exactly, or maybe go out to Duke.
Yeah,
And just roll it, run it back. Go to Duke with Peyton. Just incredible stuff. I couldn't believe. I mean, I've watched a Russell Wilson presser before, but it's just different when he's wearing an orange jacket and a blue tie, and just how well thought out everything he says and how exact he delivers everything. There's a science to this stuff, and you can totally overreact to a press conference, but there's something to be said about how you carry yourself as a quarterback. Does it really matter at any other position? I don't really think so. You could have a wide receiver who's amazing and is terrible on the podium, and it wouldn't matter.
Yep.
There's something about a quarterback who goes up there, and I'm telling you, I'd have to go back to the tape. I don't think he slipped on his words once. Just the way that he delivers a message is so strong and so powerful. In that type of stuff, it only matters if you're good at football.
Right.
But that type of stuff combined with being really good at football is going to transform the Denver Broncos.
Yep, it's going to. And something else, it's going to transform the Denver Broncos. Russ had a saying, or something that he ended all of his press conferences with in Seattle. He said, "Go Hawks." Now, there's a new one. Let's ride.
Let's ride, baby.
And speaking of that,
we already have the shirt. You got to check it out on DNVRlocker.com. There it is. It's beautiful. Woo. Let's ride. Get yours. They're already flying off the shelves, so don't hesitate. It's a new era, and this is going to be the phrase that defines the new era of Denver Broncos football.
And the awesome thing is, this is going to be the phrase in the era for the next 10 to 12 years. You don't have to worry about this shirt going out of style in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years. Russell Wilson is here to stay. He is 100% dedicated to the Broncos and the Denver community. And Ryan, let's ride, baby.
Let's absolutely ride. Also, you should ride on down to the DNVR bar sometime. Come hang out with us here. I've said this on every show since, but I just can't stop thinking about it. The Broncos watch parties here next year are going to be insane. I can't stop thinking about what it's going to look like when he hits a deep ball over the top to Courtland Sutton on a deep post with just that perfect feathery touch that just drops directly into the bucket. Courtland breaks a little arm tackle off his legs and strides into the end zone, and the DNVR bar is just going nuts. The Chiefs matchups, which at least one is going to be in prime time. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are in prime time.
The Broncos are guaranteed to have a Chargers primetime game and a Chiefs primetime game.
Yep, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Raiders primetime game as well. So it's just, I can't wait. But until then, you can come down and watch the Nuggets, which also happens to be an absolute blast because they have their own Peyton Manning in Nikola Jokic. So come down, hang out, watch the Nugs, watch the Avs, and just get ready for what it could be like when we get to watch the Broncos and Russell Wilson.
And come down to the DNVR bar tomorrow at 10 a.m. to watch the CSU Rams beat the Michigan, Big Blue Michigan Wolverines. Yes. And Ryan, say with me, go Rams. And if you bet $5 on the Rams, there we go. Go Justin, go DNVR. If you bet $5 on the Rams or any team in the tournament over at DraftKings Sportsbook, you'll win $200 in free bets. And you might as well place that bet in an early game tomorrow. So might as well do the Rams game, because if you win that $200 in free bets, you get to use right away. No better way to start the NCAA tournament than with $200 in free bets. So get in now. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to get this $200 in free bets by just placing a $5 bet on any team to win in the tournament. That's code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
The Rockies just signed Chris Bryant to a 7-year deal.
What a day in Denver sports history. $182 million. I mean, we're talking Russell Wilson money.
I was gonna say he's getting paid like Russell Wilson.
Oh man, and one of the we'll get to this story in just a second. And if you are down at Coors Field, Ryan, and you're hanging out on the party deck and you're watching Chris Bryant, you're watching where Russell Wilson used to hang around at Coors Field, you want to get yourself some Breck brews, right?
Absolutely.
And whether you're at the DNVR bar watching Chris Bryant this summer, you'll have Breckenridge brews here. And if you can't make it down to Coors Field, you can't make it to the DNVR bar, you got to go on to Breck Beer's website. Look at their Breck Beer locator to find out anywhere you can get Breckenridge brews all across the country. Today, another beautiful Strawberry Sky Day.
Oh, I love a Strawberry Sky Day. And basically, once Russell Wilson arrives, every day is a Strawberry Sky Day.
It certainly
But
is.
speaking of the Rockies, which we're not going to dive into the contract they just gave to Chris Bryant, but Russell Wilson had some crazy praise for the Colorado Rockies organization.
He did. Great day for the Rockies.
Probably the best thing that's happened to the Rockies in years.
Yes.
Was Russell Wilson standing up there and saying, hey, the day after I was drafted by the Rockies, one of the best days of my life, his dad passed away. And what a hard time that was for him. And he had just nothing but love for the way the Rockies treated him. And again, as a Denver sports fan, that's great to hear. And it's very nice to hear. But he also mentioned saying, when he went to Coors Field, he said, I'm going to play here one day. And then he saw Mile High and he said, I'm going to play there one day too.
So cool.
And it's just, it's cool kind of for everything to come full circle for him. He was a great baseball player. Remind you of anyone?
Oh, certainly does.
A little John Elway
Yeah.
action. Great baseball player who becomes a great football player. And it's kind of crazy how it all comes full circle when you'll probably see him, up there in a luxury box at Coors Field this summer.
You absolutely will. He's got to support his former team. Maybe he just has a suite that he has and gives out to his friends and teammates. And John Elway, Ryan, was in the building today. Speaking of John, and that just shows you how big of a deal this was. Of course, Mike Kliss reporting last night that John flew in on his private jet from California for this.
John and I were in the same area last weekend.
Oh, did you guys hang out? Did you go to his house?
I didn't make it over
Drink
there.
some Elway 7 wine?
I didn't get the invite, unfortunately. But yeah, flies in last night. Was
Yep.
he there in the room?
He was. He made a quiet entrance, which is crazy when John Elway's doing that. But as an outside consultant, I guess that's the type of entrance you make. But it's really cool to hear just how much Denver has already meant to Russell Wilson. And he said multiple times how it was a special place to him because of what the Rockies did, and he said when he stepped down, or when he got off the plane and stepped foot in Denver, this most recent time when he came to visit the Broncos just to make sure he wanted to sign away his no trade clause, he said, man, I was reminded of my dad. And I felt like my dad was with me. And man, that had to be a reason, one of the reasons why he wanted to come back here. And man, did he do a vetting process on the Broncos and every other team. So he didn't know about this trade much more in advance than we did. When he found out he was on vacation, he took his private plane, him and Sierra did, to Denver after the trade had been public. And he met with George Payton on that Tuesday, so we're talking 8 days ago, met with Nathaniel Hackett, saw the building, and then officially signed off on his no-trade clause. He said, and one of the coolest things that he said, I'll tell you in a second.
Well, let me just ask you this. Was there a chance that he walked into the building that day and didn't vibe with George Payton and Nathaniel Hackett and said, no, I'm not waiving it for the Broncos?
Yeah, there absolutely was, which blew my mind that it had already been reported, and it had been reported also that before he got into the building, he had waived that no-trade clause. That was not the case, according to Russ. He wanted to evaluate everything.
Do you know what that would have done to me?
It would have done to everyone.
Yes.
In Seattle, too.
I mean, thank God that Nathaniel Hackett's vibes are immaculate. And George Payton is obviously a genius. And Russell Wilson was able to walk in there and know what was up. And also, like, Patrick Smythe, like, as soon as you meet him, you're like, oh, this place is the real deal. You know what I mean?
You certainly do.
So, thank God, because that would have been a terrible day.
It would have been a terrible day. But Ryan, he said what really sold him was a couple of things. But first and foremost, winning is everything in this organization. He talked with Peyton Manning about that, and he actually said in our group scrum after the press conference that was live, he was asked, what's the biggest takeaway you took from talking to Peyton? And he said that everyone in here is about winning, and this is a winning organization. And so Peyton sold him on that. Then when he got here, you had George Payton sell him on that, Nathaniel Hackett sell him on that, and that was what put him over the top, because how many times did Russ say, winning is everything to me. In fact, I think he said that twice right back to back. Winning is everything. Winning is everything to me.
He said winning is the only thing.
And the only thing.
And that's the way this place works. Not just the Denver Broncos, but Denver. Winning is everything. And as a quarterback, your standards are the highest they are anywhere in the NFL.
Yep.
Bar none.
Yep.
We're
because
talking
not only the organization,
right,
but the quarterbacks.
Exactly. You are following in the footsteps of 2 of the 5 best quarterbacks of all time. That's the standard. But you know what else? You're entering a division with arguably 2 of the 5 and 3 of the 12 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think Russell Wilson's reaction to both of those things is the exact same. And he was asked directly about the AFC West. And this may be my second favorite quote. He said, "Why would you want it any other way? I want to compete with the best." And we've talked about this, Zach, when we talk about rookies that the Broncos could have brought in or people that they could have traded for, like Aaron Rodgers when that conversation was hot. People always say, why would they want to come to the AFC West? And my response always was, if they don't, then they aren't the guy. Because you have to have someone with that competitive nature. And Russell Wilson said it definitively at the end of the second time he was asked about the AFC West when he said, "I don't fear anyone."
Yep. I don't fear anyone, and that's the exact approach you need in this division, Ryan, and I absolutely love that quote. Why would I be afraid? Why would that be something that I would even think about? And I love that wasn't on his list when considering what teams to consider, and honestly, you got to beat the best to be the best, right? And Russell Wilson wants to be the best quarterback right now. He also has said in the past he wants to be the best quarterback to ever play the game. So winning 3 or 4 more Super Bowls, being able to do that against Justin Herbert, against Patrick Mahomes, against Derek Carr will allow him to do that. And man, the AFC West is certainly going to make it difficult for him because not only the great quarterbacks, but then you have Khalil Mack, you have Chandler Jones. The Chiefs are probably the worst team in terms of pass rushers, and they have Chris Jones as well. And then, of course, you got the Broncos with Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory.
Yeah, I mean, it's a buzzsaw for sure. But how many times have you heard the story of the team, it's March Madness season, right? Gonzaga. Oh, well, they just waltzed through the West Coast Conference and everything was easy and they went undefeated. And then all of a sudden they got to the dance and they were challenged by a team that could match them in size, speed, athleticism, and they lose. And so obviously it's going to be a tall task just to make the playoffs in the AFC West. But once you do, you are going in there as the team and alongside your fellow AFC West mates, which 3 teams are probably going to make it from the AFC West. You're going in there as the teams that have been tested the most, the absolute most, by other teams that belong there than any other team in the NFL. So that is a positive. And the Broncos are going to have battles all year long. You hope to stay healthy. I'll touch wood. But that team is going to, all of these teams are going to come out of the AFC West absolutely battle tested.
They absolutely will. And Ryan, we're talking about stacked teams in the AFC West. It feels like anytime there's big time news of a signing, it's someone going to the AFC West. We had that earlier today. Chandler Jones going with the Raiders. The Raiders were kind of sitting out from everything going on. They were seeing the Broncos get rust. The Broncos seeing Randy Gregory. They saw the Chargers just load up, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And the Raiders said, we're going to go get Chandler Jones. There might be another name that's coming to the AFC West. Ryan, a very interesting thing happened literally about 15 minutes after the Broncos press conference with Russell Wilson ended. Russell Wilson himself, literally less than 30 minutes after the press conference ended, said, "To the greatest player I've ever had the privilege of playing with, the best is ahead," tagged Bobby Wagner, and it's a picture of him and Bobby Wagner coming out of a tunnel together.
Now, there is no way we are overreading into this. This is very clear messaging. Like, it's not like he said, "Best of luck on your journey," or "the best is yet to come for you," or anything like that. It's very clearly Russell Wilson saying, come to Denver, or it's done. You're coming to Denver.
This doesn't feel like come to Denver. This feels like you are coming to Denver.
See you soon.
Just get here because there may be some more press conferences soon that I want you to be at. And this comes on the heels of a report. I believe it was our guy Field Yates, big time, who said that Russell Wilson has been recruiting Bobby Wagner to the Broncos. This is at least a recruiting pitch. If not, Broncos country, get ready for what's to come. And also, an additional thing, and this may be stretching it a bit, George Paton's phone, I don't know if you could see during that press conference, just lighten up. As I think you joked, I saw on Twitter, maybe he just has Broncos reporters' tweet notifications turned on.
I know, I was waiting for him to be like on camera right when I sent a tweet to see if I could see the little like bird pop up.
Yeah, that would have been great. And after the press conference, he said, George asked someone, what happened? My phone was just blowing up. So maybe there's something in the works.
Huh.
Or maybe because I've only been in Broncos world the past 2 hours, and my phone is pretty much dead now with all the tweet notifications I've got. I don't know if something else happened.
I didn't see anything else happening. It's interesting that he asked someone else.
Right.
I was assuming that maybe he was just getting texts from his friends. Congratulations, this is amazing. You know, that sort of thing.
Potentially. Yep. Man, you look so good on camera.
But for him to say that, what happened?
Yeah.
My phone was blowing up. Interesting.
Maybe Bobby's agent accepted a contract or something.
Right. That could have been it. Like they have a Slack or a group chat.
Some other big news, not Broncos.
Bummer.
Kind of Broncos. Von Miller to the Buffalo Bills.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Love that.
Coming out of nowhere to land Von Miller.
Although I would prefer him not to be in the AFC because there's a chance that the Broncos will have to face him in a high leverage game. But good for him, man. I always kind of pull for the Bills. They're just such a great football city.
You can't anymore. You can't pull for any team in the AFC because now, you could before because it was like, well, the Broncos aren't really going to be that good. So you pull for a contender in the AFC. Can't do it anymore, Ryan.
So what's going to happen here is, what's the number? Let me ask you.
It is 18 and a half a year.
Okay. I think Broncos fans will be able to stomach that. Just from a sense of like, okay, that is a lot more than what we're paying Randy Gregory. The 17, there's something about the 17 feels really close to 14.
Right.
That I think people, if Chandler Jones goes off next season, will say, hey, what the hell?
Especially sacking Russ a couple of times throughout the season.
Which I looked. He has pretty good career numbers when he goes up against Russ.
Stop it.
Yeah,
but you know what? DJ Jones
has
has good numbers against Russ, and the Broncos brought him here.
That's true. Last time they faced him, 2 sacks.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. And there's no doubt, and we're going to break this down a lot more. We've already done it this week. But Randy Gregory is a big gamble, Ryan. He's got a very high upside, and in terms of sack production, a pretty low floor.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Although when I watch his film, it's really exciting. He's a freak.
An unbelievable deal for Von Miller. 6 years, $120 million. Ryan, unless this is like insane, unless this is like the Randy Gregory deal where it's 5 years, $70 million, but only the first 2 years is guaranteed. If he has more than 2 years guaranteed, this is a deal that the Broncos are okay with passing up. He's gonna be Russ's age. He's gonna be like 48 when he retires.
What?
This is insane.
6-year deal for a 33-year-old?
Wow.
Good for Vaughn. I mean, absolutely good for Vaughn. But that's no different than the deal he's been playing on.
Yeah. $20 million a year. No wonder the Broncos never made a call.
Again, yeah. I mean, and Vaughn can do the thing where he's like, I wanted to go to the Broncos. They didn't want to pay me, you know. But good for him. That's absurd by the Bills. That's a move where they're saying, hey, we're one move away from winning a Super Bowl.
That's exactly what it is, and they're building it like that, too. According to Ian Rappaport, in the first 4 years, the deal averages $17.5 million per year, which means it's going to be backloaded. And they're kind of doing a light version of what the Packers are doing in terms of going all in right now. You see the Chargers going all in right now. You see the Broncos making that push as well. Man, can the Broncos just relocate? Can they flip with the Seahawks and just be in the NFC for a couple of years?
I mean, the Seahawks did leave the AFC West to join the NFC, so maybe the Broncos can flip-flop with them. I actually wouldn't want that. I like the AFC way better. But it is a much bigger arms race over here in the AFC. And it's going to create for some amazing drama, amazing football. I mean, think about the playoffs last year. And then everyone just loaded up even more now.
Yep.
Wow. What a time to be in football, to be honest.
Yep.
It just keeps getting better.
Yep.
And especially here in Denver.
Yep.
Where the Broncos have Russell Wilson. Let's just talk about Bobby Wagner a little bit more here. Where are you at on Bobby Wagner?
On should he come here?
Yeah.
Absolutely. He should come here. And Ryan, this would be going all in for this season. This would be what you want. When I say win now and win later, that's what the Broncos can do with Russell Wilson. And you kind of moan and groan. And you're like, I don't really want that. I want all in right now. That's what this move would be, because not only would you be paying a lot of money to bring him in right now, but you'd be either putting a $5.5 million player in Josie Jewell as a backup, or you'd be putting a guy that you really believe in the future of in Baron Browning to the back end. But you know what? If you're all in right now and you make this move, it's totally okay. It's okay, and you're going to have to sacrifice one of those two things. You're not going to have 3 inside linebackers on the field, but what would be so cool about this is if they land Bobby Wagner, the Broncos would get the Seattle Seahawks number 1 player in terms of the most Pro Bowls they've ever had in Russell Wilson, and they get the number 2 player in terms of the most Pro Bowls that a Seattle Seahawk has ever had in Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, the Broncos are used to taking leftovers from like lame franchises. You know, like they're like, oh, here's the right tackle that the Raiders didn't want.
Right.
You know, here's a guy that the Chiefs didn't want. Actually, the Chiefs aren't lame anymore, but they were when they got Donald Stevenson. Didn't he come from Kansas City?
He did.
Yep. Like, I feel like they're always, you know, getting these other guys. Like the Seahawks, much as we don't like them, have been a legit.
We can like them now.
Yeah, that's true. They helped us out.
They suck now.
Yeah. And they helped us out. You know, that's a legit franchise. It's not a team that is a joke by any means, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 years.
Yep.
So getting their 2 best players, you know, maybe their best offensive and best defensive player in franchise history, or
as
close
the Seattle Seahawks would say, one of the
one
best.
of, yes, of course.
Yes.
Would be cool. For me, I've just wanted the Broncos to invest in linebacker. You know, if there's one thing that this town loves almost as much as a great quarterback, it's a great linebacker. You know, the history of Broncos linebackers is very deep and very proud. And, you know, that's one thing that it's been missing is you don't have your Al Wilson or your Carl Mecklenburg or your Randy Gradishar. Obviously, Carl played everywhere. But, you know, that is kind of an ingredient to a great Denver Broncos team. I think the last Super Bowl you'd probably give Danny Trevathan that crown. And he was even like not quite the adored fan favorite, but this place would love Bobby Wagner. And he's an amazing football player who is, yes, absolutely on the back end of his career, but maybe he's willing to take a little bit of a discount on what is now, day 4 of free agency?
Yeah, technically day 1, but yeah, day 3.
Okay, yeah, on day 3 of free agency to come back and play with Russ.
And we say that he's old, Ryan. Don't forget, the Buffalo Bills just paid 33-year-old Von Miller 6-year contract. You wouldn't have to do that with 31-year-old linebacker Bobby Wagner. And man, talk about Jerry Jones being pissed again if the Broncos are able to take Wagner away from Dallas, because there's been a lot of ties, him wanting to go back and play with Dan Quinn. This would be a home run. You'd be getting a Pro Bowler, Ryan. He's been a Pro Bowler 8 straight years. Last year, he was a second-team All-Pro. The year before that, he was a first-team All-Pro. He's a guy that plays in every single game. I believe, just like Russ, he missed his first couple of games of his career last year. He's an absolute beast. He's a captain. And just talk about just taking the 2 best players from the Seattle Seahawks, adding them to the Broncos, and this one would only cost you money.
Just money. I'm in on it. And honestly, if it means you have to put Baron Browning on the back burner a little bit, or, you know, use Josie Jewell as a rotational guy, I don't really care. You know, like we used to talk about like what Drew Lock deserves, and I would say like Drew Lock doesn't deserve anything. This is the NFL. No one deserves anything. You get what you earn. And so if it's, you know, this is something that a college football coach told me, is he said, it's our job to get our players out of jobs by bringing in better players. It's the players' job to make us wrong.
Yep.
And so that's kind of exactly how this is. It's George Paton's job to get better players than the ones that are on the field. And it's, Baron Browning and Josie Jewell's job to say, not so fast. I'm better than that guy. Mm-hmm. Who did that better than anyone else? Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Who obviously was not in the plans to be an instant starter, set foot on the field and said, you guys were wrong. I'm better than this guy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's ride.
Let's ride, baby. Now, Ryan, how much would you be willing to pay Bobby Wagner?
What's the going rate?
For top inside linebacker? Let's think. I don't think any really have been signed this year. Have there been?
I'm trying to think if there has been one, and I don't really think so.
So the contract he's coming off of, $18 million a year.
Okay, that's a lot.
And he was under contract for that this year and was supposed to get that money, but of course there weren't guarantees anymore, so Seattle moved on from him. What if he says that? What if he says that's the price?
No, that's too much.
So how much of a discount do you need? If he's 14? He says Randy Gregory, who is not a Pro Bowler, just got $14 million, and he's only 2 years younger than me. Come on, George.
I'll go 2 years at 14.5 each.
Okay, and fully guaranteed, 29 mil?
Yeah, sure.
I would do that as well. I would love a short, big, fully guaranteed deal. And Ryan, there's reason to believe that the Broncos can make this done. Of course, we know the cap is fake. And right now, Broncos don't have that much cap room left. But their contract with Randy Gregory, did you see the numbers on it?
Yeah, it's very team-friendly when it comes to the cap hit.
Yep, so it's 5 years, $70 million. First year, $6 million cap hit. Not 14 like he's getting average to pay. $6 million cap hit, and then every year after that, it's $16 million cap hit. So the Broncos have room, and of course, if they really needed to get a player, they could restructure guys. But they have the ways to do it.
All right, well, if you need to celebrate tonight, you could come down to the DNVR bar. You could have a beer. Or if you like a different style of celebration, go over to Lightshade Dispensary and use the code DNVR for 25% off each purchase, not just your first purchase. Every time you go there, you can get 25% off. You can shop online, have it ready for you, pick out what you want, leave it in your cart, roll down to a Lightshade location near you, and they'll have that all packaged up and ready to go. Right now, they've got an awesome deal on Ripple, which is a fast-acting, dissolvable, clinically proven to hit 2 times faster than the leading gummy. It starts absorbing within 10 minutes, so you can depend on a consistent experience every time. Make sure you check out Ripple. Make sure you check out Lightshade Dispensary. Use that code DNVR25 when you do so.
And speaking of fast-acting dissolvables, our friends over at Athletic Greens. Holy cow, it's been a tongue twister day. Athletic Greens. There we go. They make fast-acting dissolvables. What you do, Ryan, when you get up in the morning, you get the powder out of the fridge. They send you a green powder. You put it in 8 ounces of water, drink it, and it makes you feel so good. It helps with gut health. It gets you your vitamins, and it gets you your probiotics, and that's what really helps with gut health. Athletic Greens. Ryan, I've been taking it for about a month now. It's made me feel so much better, and it's cheaper than your cup of coffee, and it's a lifestyle friendly. So it's vegan, paleo, keto, dairy-free, gluten-free, and like I said, it gets you those vitamins, minerals, greens that you need. It has over 7,000 5-star reviews over at Athletic Greens, and when you go to athleticgreens.com/Broncos, you will get 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packets with your first purchase. It's so nice when you leave the house for a weekend away to use those travel packs. So make sure to go to athleticgreens.com/Broncos to get in on this.
All right, Zach, you want to hop into Super Chats first?
Let's do it.
And then to the comments from the listeners.
Ryan, let's ride.
Let's ride. Let's ride. All right. Al, you want to bring these up and read them to us? Okay, she doesn't have a mic, so we'll read them once they pop up here. The first one here is coming in from...
Go! We're riding, baby!
There it is.
Max Power says, Peyton, and they're going to add in free agency. Peyton said they're going to add in free agency. Who else could they sign? Any chance Lyle Collins if Dallas releases him?
Would love that. Would love that. Obviously, you've been on the train of moving Garrett Bowles to the right side.
Now, Mace kind of has an issue with that. Do you?
No.
I feel like you've gotten everything from Garrett out of the left side. And if you can upgrade the left side, try him at right tackle.
Exactly. Now, it's not as simple as it is like in Madden. You know what I mean? You just flip them over there. Their rating's the same. Nothing changes. It would be a lot of learning for Garrett Bowles to, I think, I want to say it was Ron Leary who once described it as driving on the other side of the road. When you go to another country and it feels so weird that you're driving on the opposite side.
Yep.
That's essentially what it would be like for Garrett Bowles. But you made an investment in Garrett Bowles. You made a legitimate investment in Garrett Bowles. Last year, it did not necessarily look like that was going to turn out to be a good investment. So, to me, get ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead and replace the position. And then, hey, maybe you get lucky and you get both bookends locked up for a significant period of time.
Yeah, and then you're riding, baby.
Hey, you are. And you're riding. All right, let's see what we got in the next super chat here.
From Aaron J. says, Broncos at Seahawks primetime game. I would love it.
How many
especially
primetime
after
games
today.
can one team have?
Broncos are going to have the max. They have to. They could
6,
open
right?
up Thursday night.
And 7 with a flex.
Yep, they could open up Thursday night against the Rams in Los Angeles. Of course, the Rams have to host that game. The Broncos are a great team to showcase Russ. Then you're going to have the Seahawks, and you're going to have one against the Chargers, and you're going to have one against the Chiefs, and maybe one against the Raiders as well.
Both Chiefs games. I'm calling that right now.
One's going to be a flex?
No. Oh. Straight up. So one Sunday night, one Monday night.
I think what they do, I think that final game is going to be Broncos Chiefs week 18, and it's going to mean something. So, and they don't set a game, so it has to technically be flexed.
So, okay. So Broncos Chiefs Sunday night football
to end the
last game of the season
for the division.
That was that the overtime Raiders Chargers games this year?
Yep.
It was.
What a game.
A lot to live up to there, but yeah.
Yep.
I think you do see this team play both primetime games against the Chiefs, one against the Chargers, one against the Seahawks, one against the Rams, and then there's room for one more in there, right? So you go Raiders.
There we go. Next one from I Am Hubiak says, do they have a full box of those orange ties?
Yes.
You
Straight
pick
up.
One for your size, and there you go.
Yep. You get your option.
Yep.
And if you're
I don't think it's a box, though. I think it's like a room.
Yes, I don't think they're just tossed into a box. And if you're Vic Fangio, they'll even hem your pants for you with some clothespins.
And just take them off someone else for you.
Yep, exactly. All right, next one here coming in from
Sam says, was it me or did Russ's praise for Hackett seem less genuine and more stidled than his praise for Peyton?
I didn't notice that in the moment.
I didn't catch it either.
Yeah, but, George Payton is proven. Nathaniel Hackett is not.
And also with this, Russ understands what's going on, what the dynamic is. George Payton is his boss. He may take that over in a little bit in terms of he's going to have a lot to say. Come on, this is just like Payton. Russ is more important than the coaching staff. He simply is.
Every quarterback is more important than the coaching staff.
Now, you hope that Russ doesn't treat it that way as it goes on, and I have no indication that he will, but that's just the truth. And you know what? Pete Carroll was never going to give that to Russ, and what did that do? Caused a lot of issues. Caused Russ to leave.
It did. Next one's from Z Reeves. I was hoping someone would ask Russell how much input he wanted on roster decisions, since that seemed to be an issue for Aaron in Green Bay. Hashtag let's ride. Hashtag holy shh. Hashtag Russell Wilson.
And did you see how much the super chat was for?
10:03. Just like 2:03. Someone pointed out we should have said that we were going live at 3:33.
That would have been good.
Or 4:03, which was closer to when we actually went live.
We typically go live at 12:03. So
yeah, that's true. If you asked him that, he wouldn't have answered it.
No, he wouldn't have. And that's something where it's still so fresh right now. There's nothing wrong with it. He's not going to stir the pot at all.
Yep, exactly. Man, everything is just heating up right now. Rocky's making moves. Bill's making multiple moves. I think the Bears made a move.
Yep, they got O.J. Howard, the Bills.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to the next super chat here.
Carson says, what are your thoughts on the Ravens getting Zadarius Smith and the Titans releasing Julio? Also, Chandler Jones is supposedly signing with the Raiders. Yeah, those were actually two moves that happened during the press conference.
Zadarius Smith, it's classic Ravens, right? They just get a very good player somehow that for whatever reason, no one else wanted.
Yeah.
And then he's really, really good for them. So that's good for them. The Titans releasing Julio. What the hell?
A terrible trade last year, right?
Yes.
The guy's hurt most of the year, and then you cut him after the second season. It seemed like they could have taken
first season.
Right. It seemed like they could have taken a big championship jump this year. There were mentions of Aaron Rodgers potentially going there, and they're going the opposite way.
What? I just don't understand. And they're also taking a huge dead cap hit for it, like $8 million dead cap hit.
Man, you wouldn't have thought that Julio Jones was a guy you need to get out of your building at all costs.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's very, very odd. Unfortunately, I hate when this stuff happens because it's just like there's no room here.
Right.
But I would, I'd love to make that happen, but it's probably not going to happen.
No, although I could see Russ talking him up.
Do they have a relationship?
How about DK Metcalf? That's just a name to keep an eye on if Russ is here for 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is he a freak and super good, but he called him out specifically in this press conference and said, one of my favorite teammates, one of my favorite players, one of my favorite people. Just keep that in mind.
Yep. But he's got a new 14.
He does.
And I think he's going to like him quite a bit. All right, is that it for Super Chats? All right, let's jump into the comment section on thednvr.com. Of course, you can become a member at thednvr.com, and we will read your comments every single day on the show. Not to mention, when you sign up for a membership, you get a free shirt. So if you want that Let's Ride t-shirt that we dropped today, then what better time to do it right now? Sign up for a membership for $59.88 and get that shirt for free. It's a great deal.
Yeah, exactly. And first comment coming in from Ando, by the way, says Peyton said he would sit back 1 year and then make his mark in year 2. Boy, does it seem like it's his promise. I'm firmly in the Peyton we trust camp, but I was wondering what you think has been Peyton's worst move of his tenure. Some may say riding with Teddy instead of drafting Fields, but that surely isn't looking like the smart choice now. Maybe getting Kyle Fuller, now that it was a terrible move, but it didn't live up to expectations. Although I think he was giving Vic his guy to give him every opportunity to succeed without a franchise quarterback. Thanks for the great coverage, and I cannot wait to buy every DNVR Broncos shirt next season.
Well, he left that before we dropped a new one, so congrats on your new shirt. Fuller's probably the worst one.
Probably, and as Ando, by the way, said, the reason for that is it was kind of Vic Fangio's move. He got him his guy, so I can't blame him that much. Ryan, honestly...
Got him his guy that he benched, 5 weeks into the season?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, maybe the worst one coming in today. I don't agree with the decision to put a right of first refusal tender on Malik Reed. This doesn't make sense to me. You're going to pay Malik Reed $2.4 million with that right of first refusal tender. I have to imagine a team is going to love Malik Reed. Maybe not give him $15 million, but give him $5 million when you could have put a second round tender on him, kept him one more year, and got him for $4 million. Saving that $1.5 million does not make sense to me. And you're going to need Malik Reed. You are naive if you think Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory are playing 17 games this year. I love Jonathan Cooper, but I think there's going to be a game where you have Jonathan Cooper and the fourth outside linebacker playing. I don't agree with that.
So here's my thought on it: is Evero doesn't like him, not personally or anything, but if you look at what he's doing, he's trying to get bigger. At least that's what it looks like to me. Trying to get bigger in places, and Malik Reed, obviously, his biggest issue is his size and his ability to defend the run. So I think that's probably what it is Evero saying, "Hey, look, I can't work with this guy. Like, only in pass rushing situations. If we need him on third down, someone needs a breather. But he's probably going to go Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory on third downs either way. So he's saying, I don't really have a use for this guy.
It's a nice spin job there, PR." No, seriously, maybe that's it. Jazzy Bronco says, thanks for the great offseason coverage, guys. I don't get the mixed reaction to George Payton right now on Twitter. His first draft class was amazing. He re-upped Court and Patrick at very reasonable rates, hired a coach that energizes me from just watching him talk, found a legit franchise quarterback, filled several holes with quality players at reasonable prices, and still has 9 draft picks, 5 in the top 115 to build depth on the roster. This is an incredible first 15 months on the job. I feel exactly the way that Ryan can. Can we get fast forward to the season? I'm ready. Can't wait to enjoy this season with the DNVR fam. Y'all are the best, and I'm right there with you. I give him an A+.
Yeah, the mixed reaction is just the classic armchair GM stuff. Anytime a move is made or isn't made, everyone gets, up in arms. But you ask anyone to give a legitimate grade for what George Payton has done in his first 15 months on the job, there is no way anyone can give him something less than a B+.
Yes.
And even that, I'm like, you're really, you're hand-wringing over him not having a quarterback last year?
I mean, the only reason you'd be going B+ and not an A, Ryan, is just you're saying we haven't seen a winning season. And to that I say, okay, just
wait.
that'll change in, 8 months?
Exactly. Next one here from Broncaholic says, hey, guys, been a while since commenting, but I still enjoy your coverage. Although I was stunned to hear you guys list Gordon as your top free agent to re-sign. Who did that?
Mason and I.
Oh, in terms of players on the team that you wanted to have back? Okay.
Would you disagree with that?
Bobby Massey would be mine.
He's easy. You're going to get him back.
Fair enough. With all the excitement around getting Russell Wilson, I have one remaining offseason wish. That is Gordon goes elsewhere. I'm sorry, but I'm just tired of watching the fumbles in games. And the most inopportune moment can completely give games away. Case in point, the Eagles and Chiefs games. Maybe I've just seen Remember the Titans too many times, but it makes me want to break my foot off. You know the quote. And there's always the lame excuse from him too. 21 career fumbles and only one of those was recovered. Go get Lindsey. 0 career fumbles. With Boone and Williams, that would be a backfield I would be excited to watch. And we wouldn't have to worry about any flea flickers flying over Russell Wilson's head. He's 5 inches shorter than Drew Lock after all. Let's go Broncos.
Yeah. I think here's the case for Melvin Gordon, and he does have the fumbling issues. Melvin Gordon's still a damn good running back outside of the fumbles. And yes, you do have to acknowledge the fumbles when talking about him, but he's still a damn good running back. And at the end of last season, we saw Javonte Williams starting to get fatigued. Now, that could have just been the rookie year, and he can build it up. But if you want to see Javonte Williams have those amazing plays game after game, you probably don't want him to be the bell cow back.
Or in
terms of like just the only back.
Totally. I got to be honest, Zach. I became a Melvin Gordon appreciator at times last year. The games are going to be too important now to have a player who can, like the commenter said, really turn a game on its head in one play. I don't want him back.
Okay. Then what's your plan?
Either draft another guy or roll with Mike Boone and Melvin Gordon and then bring in, some depth guy.
And I'd love Mike Boone, but the coaching staff last year clearly did not. So we'll see if this coaching staff does.
For sure. He kind of seems like he would fit the one and go offense. That's where he came from in Minnesota.
Yep.
Next one from Dan Burke. Hey guys, why do I get the feeling that Jerry Jones detests the Broncos? Between not beating them in nearly 30 years, taking Surtain, taking Paxton, and now signing Gregory, it seems like the Broncos are always a thorn in the Cowboys' side. Now they're not losing sleep over having Parsons and Dak, but the point still remains that the Broncos continually play spoiler in their plans. What do y'all think? I think you should be thanking the Broncos for having Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott.
And you hope that he's mad at the Broncos in 5 years because of the Randy Gregory deal, too.
Yes, absolutely. Melbourne Broncos says, hey, guys, thought I'd share a bet I played a month ago just for a bit of fun. $5 parlay of the Broncos to win the Super Bowl and St. Louis to win the World Series to win $3,500. A man has to have hope, and all of a sudden it's not that far-fetched. Cheers.
Melbourne Bronco, I love you, but I can't be cheering for that bet.
Nope, me either.
I can't be cheering for the Cardinals.
I mean, Chris Bryant's leading the Rockies in the World Series.
It's true. There we go. H-Town Bronco says, Russell Wilson has done more for the community in 1 day than Drew Lock did in 3 years.
Okay.
What a dub for the Broncos. On another note...
Hold on. We don't need to do this.
We don't.
We don't need to do this. We don't need to shit on Broncos on their way out because that's not true. Drew Lock was absolutely one of the guys going out there in the community, going to events, doing things like that. So again, we don't need to do that. I'm cheering for Drew Lock. I hope he does well in Seattle. They are obviously singing his praises today because he's the best quarterback on the roster right now.
We don't need to talk about these guys.
But just let it go.
We're all in on Russ.
Let it go.
Let it go.
We should just never talk. We should just never talk about Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater ever again.
Yep, I agree. We wish them both the best. On another note, little iffy on the Gregory signing because of his past. However, I'm a big risk taker myself, and I'm trusting in Peyton, so I'm going to roll with it. We still need a cornerback, and I think Zach is right that we'll re-sign Massey after the draft. So if we can get just 2 key contributors in the draft out of the 8, I think we're a solid team with very few holes. But really freaking excited. Taking my 9-year-old daughter to her first game this year now that she wants to go. Mile High is the only way to do it right. Hopefully, we can see y'all in the fall at the bar. Ryan, the bar's going to be popping. The tailgates are going to be off the chain.
Orange pom-poms for a home playoff game.
Yeah, the parking lot's going to be packed.
Next one's from Massive Chubb, following up on my post from yesterday. When confronted on my Twitter language in regards to the Denver Broncos, I told my prospective employer that Zach and our RK said that obscenity means I'm passionate, to which they responded, who is that? To which I responded, I think we're done here.
Let's go.
Just kidding. I got the job.
Yes!
Let's go. Round of applause. Round of applause.
Yes.
But doesn't mean I have to move 7 hours down the road for my beloved Western Slope shutters to Las Vegas.
Well, you're going to catch a game there every year.
Yes. By the way, we're going to catch a game there next year.
Yes, we are. Let's just hope it's not on Christmas.
I agree.
The NFL doing that to us. 4140 coming in says, going off what RK said about fans getting caught up in the amount of money being spent on Gregory and any player's cap number, I think what would help is if it becomes more common to look at the percentage of cap, not just the dollar amount. Gregory will only be about 7%. SpotTrack has that percent listed on their site of every player, and to me, at least provides some context, since hearing about multi-million-dollar deals is obviously a lot of money to normal people. As always, go Broncos.
Yeah, great point. Bronco Oiler says, morning, guys. I was having a chat with my wife, who isn't much of a football fan, and she was surprised to hear how historically successful and renowned the Broncos are because she never hears anyone talk about them.
Ouch.
That hurts. With
Not
the signing
anymore.
of Russell Wilson and the star power of his marriage, I expect the Broncos will get much more coverage in and out of the sports world. With that said, do you think the signing of Russell Wilson will have any impact on the ownership bid and perceived value of the franchise? I know one signing may not move the needle much on the value of a multi-billion-dollar asset, but it's hard to imagine that the franchise hasn't become exponentially more marketable, especially to casual NFL viewers. I said it the day of the signing. I said yesterday's price is not today's price. And you know what? Maybe Joe Ellis spoke to Russell Wilson on his way down the stairs and said, hey, say you're going to pay for 10 to 12 more years. That's going to make us an extra $1 billion.
Yep. And that's certainly going to be a good recruiting pitch in 5 years for guys to say, hey, I'm still here another 5 or 7 years. I said it 5 years ago, and I'm sticking by it.
100%. And finally, from my biggest fan, what are the chances that Peyton packages a few picks to move into the first? Are there any players that would be worth doing so? It's a really interesting question. This is a deep tackle draft, so there is a chance that maybe you jump into the 32nd or 31st pick to get the best tackle left on the board, get that fifth-year option with them. And that's the thing, is you're going to do this at a position with a ton of value. So because that fifth-year option becomes very valuable at the right positions. Quarterback, of course, being one. Pass rusher being another. Tackle being one. And I'll even throw in corner as one that fifth-year option becomes really valuable for you. That's what I would look at, is probably tackle and maybe corner.
Yeah, and I think where you would move up would be right tackle. I think the Broncos are fine enough at corner where they don't have to have a huge investment, and I do expect the Broncos to move in the second round, whether it's all the way up to the first round, whether it's a couple spots up in the second. They have all the picks to do it, as George Payton said, 9 picks to move around, and that's plenty of flexibility still.
Yep, absolutely is. And, I mean, it's crazy that they still have 9.
It is. It really
5
is.
in the top 115. There's still more good players to come, regardless if they get Bobby Wagner or not.
Yep.
Exciting stuff, man.
Let's ride, baby.
Let's absolutely ride. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit us with a thumbs up. Tons of you guys watching. Not nearly as many thumbs up. So hit us with a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast if you're listening to this anywhere you listen to podcasts. Hit us with a 5-star review. We always appreciate those. But for today...
Wow, Russell Wilson? Holy shit!
That is going to wrap it up for us on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Until tomorrow, let's ride.